Welcome to webinar about D1 card display. We hope it will be informative, and it will cover all the necessary aspects, so you could start your development and integrate this D1 SDK features. Card display overview. Our D1 card display service provides convenient and easy APIs within the D1 SDK to retrieve the full end user's card's information, display virtual card artwork and metadata information, and display the full card details for e-commerce payments. Card display overview. In this slide you can see the main features provided by our D1 card display functionality. First, the card artwork and the last 4 digits of the card are displayed. The end user is able to tap on the eye icon located in the upper right corner of the card to display the full card details. In the case where the last end user authentication was performed more than 5 minutes ago, the D1 SDK requires the issuer application to re-authenticate the end user. The card data is then displayed, and the end user can copy it to the e-commerce website or the mobile application to perform a purchase. That includes full PAN, expiration date and CVV. Display card metadata. Let us see how to display the non-sensitive card data in the issuer application. There are 3 prerequisites that should be done before. First, the consumer, account and card are registered in D1 backend. Second, the SDK is properly initialized, and third, D1 SDK login API was called before. Next, please call getCardMetadata API with card ID as parameter. When the SDK receives this call, it will connect to D1 backend and download the appropriate data. Then the D1 SDK indicates the result of the getCardMetadata call in the success callback. There is a possibility to download card asset, the card artwork, by calling the getAssetList for Android or card asset array for iOS as mentioned in step 8. Display card details. The D1 SDK offers 2 options how to display the full card details. The first option is to use getCardDetails API. In this case, the issuer application obtains the full card details from D1 SDK, and it is responsible for displaying the card details in the UI. The second option is to use DisplayCardDetails API. In this case, the issuer application delegates the display of the full card details to the D1 SDK. For both these options, some prerequisites should be done. The consumer, the account and the card have been registered on D1 backend. The SDK is properly initialized and application has called D1 SDK login API. Get card details. On this slide we describe the first option when the issuer application obtains the full card details from the D1 SDK, and then the issuer application is responsible for displaying the card details in the UI. The process starts by calling getCardDetails API. This is a sensitive operation, so we should be sure that the customer has been authenticated within the previous 5 minutes. As you can see in step 5, there is some integration with your card management system. Our D1 service checks your card management system to retrieve the card details. The encrypted data is sent back to SDK where the decryption happens, and then it can be propagated to the UI. Display card details. We are also offer a more convenient option how to show the card details. In this solution, the application developer needs to create a card detail UI where you can pass references to the labels like PAN text view, expiry date text view, cardholder name text view and CVV text view. Then the SDK will fill these views for you when you are calling Display Card Details API and providing the card ID and card details UI. Life cycle. The end user, account and card status can evolve, and the card can be renewed. These are back-end to back-end processes, and it is supported by the D1 Server API operations. Next steps. Thank you very much for attending this D1 SDK workshop webinar about card display. We hope we answered most of your questions, and you found this information helpful. We encourage you to go through our developer portal pages to understand the solution in more detail. The next phases on your D1 solution integration project should be discovery, onboarding, integration, testing, and then launch. Thank you for selecting us as your service provider.